And that leads to marketplaces.
Yes.
They're okay buying 7 layers to solve a problem. No one wants to buy this all you can eat, best in class end-to-end platform. I'm okay building layers to my outcome.
Microsoft's purpose is in service of your purpose.
And again, 2024 is the year that partners come out as the leading edge of the spear on finding this buyer intent.
You show up to every meeting and demonstrate why you are relevant.
Every day I have to force myself to make sure that I'm taking one step ahead in terms of my own learning.
That flywheel of success is where you will build momentum, and that momentum will continue, and then you feed into the other systems to say, this is what we did. This is how we did it together.
The 5 reasons why the next generation of CEOs will be partnership leaders. Warms my heart to know that as a partner leader and former chief revenue officer as well. So I thought maybe we'd start here. I wanted a deep dive, but you had some very insightful comments. I thought maybe you could summarize the 5 steps and then we can deep dive into them.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, for years now, we've been making these future predictions. This is what's going to happen to marketplaces. This is what's happening to the new buyer. This is what's happening to the economics of partnering. And they were all a David Letterman top 10 list of, trends.
Yes.
Somewhat interconnected, but at some point coming to an inflection point. And 2024 happens to be the year of that inflection point where, number one, the new buyer is actually here. By the end of the year, a millennial will lead the majority of tech and telco purchasing, over $5 trillion. And that's both by number of millennials as well as by budget. Number 2, this platform economy, not just in the hyperscalers, not just in SaaS companies, but taken hold in security. But outside of tech, we always got confused that the biggest automotive companies and pharmaceuticals and banks wanted to become tech companies. Every company was going to become a tech company. Where we were confused is they actually want to become platform companies and what that means.
Yes.
And that drives a whole different set of economics with the way partnering's worked for over 40 years. Down here in Boca Raton with August the 12th, 1981, and that first IBM PC with the first IBM program with Microsoft and others. But now we're looking at a very different thing. And this is the year that it all changes. And then generative AI and other things that come into it. So again, inflection point all into one time.
Yeah, I thought we would deep dive on these. It was really great and insightful conversation. Let's talk about the millennials first, right? Because we've been talking about the tectonic shifts and this new generation of buyers, right? The different buying persona. Used to clicking 3 times on my phone and a box shows up, right? And maybe they don't want to speak to as many salespeople. They want to make their own decision. They go through their own process. You've talked about this and how the decision-making process has changed. Can you spend a minute there on that specifically?
Yeah. So, different psychology, different behaviors, different journey that they're on, but suffice it to say they're either digital first or digital only.
Right.
And when you said, maybe I don't want to talk to a human, the latest research says that 75% of them would actually like to get to end of job. And this is to buy $1 million worth of software. This is to buy a car. I'd like to get to end of job at a very important big decision, digital only.
Yeah.
And so that's 75%. So this is a different way to treat those first 28 moments before they make that decision. So that's one thing. Second is they're subscription and consumption friendly. Growing up on Netflix, growing up on Spotify.
Yes.
They're okay to pay $1 a month for the rest of their life for a toothbrush that just gets replenished, and they understand that they're in it for life. And this goes, again, across technology, but it goes into every industry.
Absolutely.
And the way they bank, the way they buy insurance, the way they, buy manufactured goods or, pharmaceuticals. It's okay to be in these subscription or consumption models. And that leads to marketplaces.
Yes.
They're okay buying 7 layers to solve a problem. No one wants to buy this all you can eat, best in class end-to-end platform. I'm okay building layers to my outcome. And I'm okay building it as a team sport.
Yep.
So in the older generations, you and I generation, we kind of look for a single throat to choke, somebody that was our trusted advisor, somebody that could really orchestrate it for us.
That's right.
The new generation, it's okay to build a team. And it's not going to be a team of the same 7 people. It's going to be a team of different types of people that have expertise in my industry, that have expertise in my geography, expertise in the segment that I'm in, the compliance and governance that I'm under. all of the different angles. I want to build a team, and I go back to sports. I don't need 7 quarterbacks
That's
or
right.
11 quarterbacks on the field. I need, 11 different players, but I need them to each do their job. Bill Belichick.
Well, we talked about partner to partner for years now. Microsoft parlance was around partner to partner. We've been talking about the decade of the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who coined that phrase, maybe someone we know personally. But this is really about ecosystem. This is really, when I think about I call it the marketplace moment, in fact. We're digitally buying, right? There's a lot of things that come along with that, right? The ability to consume against these large cloud commitments, but also the opportunity, as you say, to stitch together the solution that best supports your requirements. Mm-hmm. And this is where we get into multi-party offers, in fact, where you can, in fact, layer several solutions together, serve it up to a customer who already has made $100 million commitment to a Microsoft, Amazon, or a Google, and say, this is exactly what we need, right? So this is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's the final piece of research on this new buyer is integration first.
Integration first.
Of all the things you'd write into an RFP that's important to you, the price is important, your service, your support, things like your brand reputation, all these things would have criteria around how I'm going to make my decision. Number one criteria now is how you work in my environment. This is both as a personal story as well as a professional one, where Apple got on stage last year and said 79% of people won't buy a car unless it has Apple CarPlay.
Yeah.
They neglected to mention Android Auto. But the fact of the matter is, here's an industry that's $4 trillion in size. You may be, taking over a dealership from your great-grandparents, and all of a sudden you're going to lose 4/5 of your buyers because there's not a technology integration in place.
It's amazing.
And so watching this and then, feeding that into all the other parts of life, I'll buy a product that's 80% as good as the competitor if it works better in my environment.
Yep.
So how do we feed an integration first buyer, a digital first or only buyer, a subscription consumption marketplace friendly buyer? This is a complete reconstruction of how we do marketing, how we do selling, and how we do long-term customer success.
It's fantastic. We're excited to announce Ultimate Partner Live Executive Summit, October 22nd and 23rd in Las Colinas, Texas. We're bringing back the event that we hosted last year, but in a new facility with state-of-the-art capabilities and live streaming. This is your opportunity to engage with other technology leaders, to learn the what, why, and how to achieve your greatest results, partnering with Microsoft and other tech giants. Featuring leadership tracks, fireside chats, and workshops designed to help you achieve more. So the next thing you talked about was the death of the cookie. You brought this up before as a big factor, right? And really why partnering is so important right now. And again, with my experience in partnering and as a CRO formerly, what would you say about the old acquisition models and new models?
Yeah, so we talk about 2024 as an inflection point. And this end of the cookie, if you happen to be in marketing, has been coming for years. Yep. It was actually 3 years ago that on the iPhone, you could say, I don't want to be followed. I no longer want to be the product on the internet. And back then, Facebook was publicly saying this could put us out of business. Yeah. We rely on this. You think of Google, whose half their company relies on this business model of selling our personal data in those first 28 moments. And yes, obviously there's active buyers. So this is the third-party data system where a couple of weeks ago, to start off 2024, Google updates Chrome and Android to actually stop limiting cookies. They also made a declaration by the end of 2024, the cookie will be dead.
Yeah.
So in a world that moves from third-party data, you remember the Cambridge Analytica scandal, and
yes,
you remember, the billions of dollars, which has created $1 trillion valuations for these companies in third-party data, selling our private data, is now moving to second party. The channel partners, ecosystem, alliances are who own these first 28 moments. The ebooks, the podcasts like this one, all the things that happen in these 28 moments now becomes a second party data problem. And CMOs need to shift from third party to second party. And again, 2024 is the year that partners come out as the leading edge of the spear on finding this buyer intent. And this is just a remarkable thing happening along with everything else.
But it's what we've been saying for so many years now, right? I mean, many years ago, I went through a course by Miller Hyman, Strategic Selling. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea was to find out as much situational analysis or awareness of your client. And the best way to do that is other people that are talking to your client. Well, who else talks to your client than you? The 7 or 8 seats at the table. They might be competitors. They might be potential partners. They might just be friendlies. Right. And be able to have those conversations. And now what you're saying around this is that's why it's so important that we have this new data intelligence and we find new ways to approach the customer because we don't have cookies.
Yeah. And so, a story around Microsoft, for example, they did a better job of surrounding the buyer.
Yes.
They didn't have a better price than AWS. They didn't have better product. They didn't have better Super Bowl ads. What they did is had better coverage. Of the 7 people that surrounded every buyer, they had more Microsoft endorsements sitting at the table. Yeah. And that sat in the ebooks, at the events. It sat in the podcast. It sat in all the different moments that the customer was friendlier to that solution versus that one. And that's one example, but that's the future of selling, is a surround strategy of these 7 trusted people and how you get them to influence that buyer in those first 28 moments.
It feels like the rest of the world is going to start speaking our language.
This was part of why the next CEO should, have partnerships in their resume or be a partnership leader.
Yeah. We are thrilled to announce our partnership with InPartner Software, the world's leading provider of partner management technologies. Serving over 4 million partners globally, InPartner excels in delivering cutting-edge solutions for partner relationship management and partner marketing automation. Their robust platform offers essential tools like program compliance tracking, customizable partner journeys, and comprehensive business planning. These features empower partner teams to swiftly transition from program design to achieving maximum value. InPartner is dedicated to supporting partner ecosystems everywhere and continues to innovate with new modules like Analytics Studio, designed to help track and maximize the ROI of your partner program. For more information, visit InPartner.com. We've discussed the $45 billion that you had predicted by the end of 2026. I think it was originally
2025. Yeah,
2025. And now you said that that's under called and potentially this year. What are we saying?
Yeah. So, at Wall Street now, we've got not only the big 3 hyperscalers, but we've got now the bigger marketplace, SaaS companies and others starting to show what their future commits are.
Yeah.
And it's one of these, again, to get these high valuations, investors love to know how much money you've got committed to you. And just the top 3 have over $340 billion committed.
Astounding.
And then somebody at some point has to figure out how to put that into product SKUs and put that together into 7-layer stacks. But that $45 billion, which was a hockey stick, it's an 86% compounded annual growth. We think it might be doubling every single year, and we don't see it stopping after 2025. This is just a trend that continues feeding this new buyer.
Well, in fact, the number went from 300 billion to 340 billion in 1 quarter.
Correct.
So we'll see what the
it's expanding, and we've also got in the last 30 or 60 days, we've got 4 press releases now. I'll use AWS Marketplace as an example. CrowdStrike, Snowflake, Palo Alto, and Splunk have all issued press releases that they're running $1 billion business on one marketplace. And one of the predictions we made alongside the 45 billion, which we also undercalled, is that AWS as a leading marketplace would join the likes of TD SYNNEX and Ingram as a top 10 distributor by 2025. Again, undercalled it, they're already there.
They're there now.
You have to get to about 5 billion to overtake D&H or an exclusive networks, and they're already there.
Yeah.
So this is an area where they may have achieved, $5 billion as one marketplace, but their sights are on the 60 billion at TD SYNNEX and 50 billion at Ingram. The numbers are astounding. And when you're doubling every single year, it doesn't take you long to get there.
So what does this do to the channel and to distribution?
Well, the blow up was the channel from decades ago was at the point of sale. All the economics worked at the point of sale, and partners were only measured at that point of sale.
Yeah.
How much do you sell? Well, the fact of the matter is money is changing hands in a very different way. And one thing that happened, and Microsoft led this, and everybody soon followed, is Microsoft declared that a marketplace fee shouldn't be 20%, or shouldn't be 35%, which has Apple in court with
That's right.
Epic, and
Yep.
45% of what they're trying to choose in New York Times. But Microsoft's like, we're not going to make money off our ecosystem. It costs us about 3% of the fee to run a marketplace. So much like a MasterCard or Visa swipe in consumer, it's about 3% of the deal
That's about
to
right.
architect the movement of money, which is complicated. It's, we got to move the money. We've got to take on the risk that the customer doesn't pay. We've got to wait for the time value of money, net 30, net 60, net 90. And in the end of all that, we have to hire Biff to break knees when the customer doesn't pay. But forever, we thought in the 1980s that was worth 40% margin.
Yep.
Then it was 30, then it was 20. And, we're all kind of deciding what that's worth. But it's now been declared, and Google followed Microsoft. And just a few months ago, AWS is finally
has come
there.
on board, yes.
But everybody's at the point now, and all the end users know that the whole value add of taking my money on behalf of a vendor is worth 3. So let's talk about where the other 17% of the gross to nets are. And a partner would tell you, well, I guess I do free consulting, I do free design and architecture, I do free implementations and integrate. I've always got paid at one point. And a lot of the other stuff that maybe other partners like a system integrator would charge for, I've ended up giving for free. And now in a marketplace model, I could still go get the other 17% on a private offer or some sort of multi-partner offer.
Yep.
And I might be willing to give up the 3% because that's a part of the business I'm not all that interested in.
Exactly. Yeah, it's changing the entire value chain equation is what I would say there. So I loved having you here today. And next time we're going to have a longer session. We're going to host you here and maybe even have some partners in the room. But we're on a tight timeline today. So for our viewers, listeners, what do they need to be thinking about and doing differently now that we're in 2024 in a big way?
I mean, the first thing, and this is not a surprise to anyone, is continue to be obsessed about your customer. Get obsessed about the people they trust. Get obsessed about what they read, where they go, who they follow. Get obsessed about a journey that isn't about the point of sale. It's about the 28 moments before that.
Yeah.
It's at the point of sale, regardless of how money changes hands. So getting the customer to the dance, getting them on the dance floor, and now with every company, keeping them dancing all night long, every 30 days forever.
Yes.
One company a couple of weeks ago became the most valuable company in the world by telling Wall Street we'd be the most sticky, predictable, reliable, repeatable, and scalable revenue, not reliant on a September launch of a product every year.
Yes.
And the market responded.
It did.
So, we can talk about a $3 trillion company or we can talk about a startup. The same thing is if you get obsessed about your customer, when you move outwards from your customer, you're going to find that there's partnerships everywhere in the integrations, in the go-to-market, in the routes to market, in all the influence. All the things you need to do around your customer are really partner-driven at this point. And that's why I think your leadership should have much better skills in partnerships.
I love what you have to say.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Ultimate Guide to Partnering. Hopefully this episode and all the episodes we've recorded are helping you better align your partner strategy to achieve your greatest results. So I want to ask you something. Have you implemented everything you've been learning? And are you now achieving the growth and revenue objectives that you hope to achieve? If not, it's time to take action now. Join Ultimate Partner Experience. We're building the community I've always dreamed about. With UPX, you get access to exclusive industry insights, unparalleled networking opportunities, tons of educational resources, and support from a community that shares your goals. Join us now. Visit our website, theultimatepartner.com, and sign up today.